Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of the Pistons Daily podcast, your go-to source for Pistons content, game recaps, hot takes, and everything Detroit basketball. I am your host, Connor Koukios, and if you're a true Pistons fan, you are in the right place because around here we live by one rule and one rule only, and that's don't let the Stones get hot. Before we get rolling, I want to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Kalshi for helping support the show. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and share with your friends. And don't forget, you can always follow us on Instagram and TikTok by searching the Pistons Daily Podcast for even more content. All right, guys, let's get into this. We're going to kick things off with something that I think has been weighing on everybody's mind this entire postseason. And that's the playoff struggles for Jalen Duren. I feel like I have been talking about this pretty much every day now in all of my own personal content, in my conversations with my friends, just in general. I think the whole city of Detroit is wondering what has happened to Jalen Duren, right? It is the biggest case of the yips I've seen in sports in a long time, specifically in Detroit sports. I can't remember last time a player got the yips this bad. I know we've had it with the Tigers, with hitting and things like that, but this seems a lot different where a player is an all-star. He's a 20-10 guy, and you pretty much just shave his points in half. It's tough, but I think teams have pretty much picked up on his game. They know exactly what he's doing. The defenses are forcing him to react faster, to get uncomfortable, and I don't think he is reacting well in either both the Magic series as well as this Cavaliers series. And it honestly has gotten to a point now with Duren where it looks like when he's out there, he doesn't even want the ball. I mean, there's possessions where I'm looking at him like he's not even making himself available here. He's getting these easy touches around the rim where the ball is going in and out. He's struggling to get rebounds over guys that he should be able to get rebounds over. And I mean, I do give credit where credit is due to Jarrett Allen, because I think Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley have done a really good job down low for the Cleveland Cavaliers in this series, and Allen has really come up big for them, and he's got no quit. I do give credit where credit is due there, but Duren, you are an all-star center in this league, and quite honestly, our number 2 guy. And a lot of people were questioning, like, who's going to be that number 2 guy, and a lot of people said it was going to be Duren. Duren had, like I said, 20-10 all season long, and has just taken a back seat. I put this as one of my notes when I was watching the game, but the game just looks faster for him right now. His youth, I think, is showing. You guys got to remember he's 22 years old. And I think he just, as we know as NBA fans, regular season is a lot different than the playoffs. It's a lot slower. You're playing teams that maybe aren't trying as hard, and you see that visibly when you're watching these games, right? And so I'm just wondering if he just was not ready for this style of play. It's the second time in the playoffs. For a lot of these guys, right, they have never been out of the first round. So I just think it has taken a serious adjustment for him. And it's been tough to watch. I think we will continue this conversation big time going into the offseason because it is a contract year. That has been the talk of the town. Are we going to pay Duren? Or are we going to let him walk? And so we will continue that conversation as things unfold in the playoffs. But for now, we keep things moving. And I want to talk about something that has been weighing on everybody's mind from the last game, and that is the referees. Are the refs dictating this playoff series? It's been a clear discrepancy between free throws. Now, Detroit was getting a lot of free throw attempts early on in the series, and now it has shifted more towards Cleveland's favor. And we all saw the big missed call with Asar Thompson and Jarrett Allen tripping Asar Thompson with 1.6 seconds left on the clock, and Pistons go to lose in overtime in the game last night. And obviously I sounded off on that, but I'd love to know from you guys in the comments, how do you feel about the officiating in this series? Because I feel like it's a little bit twofold. I never like to blame games on referees. I actually think that's a terrible thing to do, is to just blame it on officiating. But it does get to a point where, are we still playing the game of basketball, right? With James Harden, it's tough because he is a master manipulator when it comes to officiating, right? And so I think it's not fair not getting the push-off calls, right? And then seeing calls go his way. I want things to be evened up a little bit more. When you look at James Harden trying to create space, I mean, there were several times where we saw him extend his elbow into maybe a Tobias Harris, right? And the call ends up being on Tobias for landing in his closeout space, right? Or in his landing area as a shooter. And that's a tough call to make, right? As a ref, I know why they implemented that rule in the NBA. You didn't want players getting hurt, getting ankle injuries, things like that. I get that. But also, too, it's a clear advantage for the offensive player to be able to create space extending their elbow, right? And we see Jason Tatum do this a lot. He's very good at creating space. Jaylen Brown does this, too. And I just think that that's something that needs to get looked at. And I don't know if it ever will. I know that the NBA definitely rewards offense over defense. I think that was a clear thing that happened in Game 5 at the end, where Asar Thompson did get that defensive stop. And it was one of those classic cases where it's like, yeah, we're still going to reward the other team, right? It's always Detroit versus everybody, and we know that, and we expect that. And I think everybody, when they spoke last night in the pressers, especially Asar Thompson, he said, we can't look at it from one play call. We need to look at it as a game as a whole, right? And so, kind of moving forward, though, I think that is something that needs to get looked at, is flopping the elbow extension to create space. I mean, that is just a clear advantage for the offensive player. And so while I don't think it's entirely the refs, I do think it has played a little bit into this series, a little bit too much. It's getting talked about in the media, which is just not a good look for the league. Like, we're talking about this after every single game. I don't think that's a great look. But I did put this in my notes because I think that this is extremely important to talk about, and that's just that Detroit needs to play better overall. Like, we can't be in these positions at the end of a game where we're relying on calls. We had a 9-point lead with less than 2 minutes to go in the game. We were up by 15 at one point, and we just allowed Cleveland to get back into it. And that goes back to defense, back to the basics. So I don't want to lean on the refs a little bit too much, but you can't not talk about it when that is the only thing that's really being talked about after Game 5 is the officiating. And it has been a common theme in this series, guys. So I would love to know from you in the comments, what you guys think. And we'll kind of keep things moving here. The playoffs are here, and it's the most electric time in basketball. On Kalshi, you can trade every single playoff game, every series, the conference finals, and the championship. Pistons are trading at 40% to the Cavs, meaning a $100 trade pays out $250 if they win the series. As the playoffs heat up, those numbers move in real time, and you can buy in or out at any time. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in or out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHBASKETBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi. Trade on anything. All right, guys, moving towards Game 6. This is going to be a wild game. I think kind of moving forward into things, I feel like Game 6 is where the Pistons thrive, right? This just takes me back to the Orlando Magic series. Game 6, we're down 20 points, we're on the road, and we have that epic comeback to win. I was at Harry's Bar watching the game. I'll never forget it. Most electric environment I've been in a while. It was just incredible to watch. And so, guys, I genuinely think that we can win this game. I think that the Pistons do an amazing job when their back is up against the wall. And this goes even to the regular season. Like, there was a specific Cleveland Cavaliers game this year, actually, where Danis Jenkins iced the game late. We were down, I think it was like 20 points. We came back, won, beat them. We were at home. Jenkins had a half-court shot attempt where he was fouled on. It led to free throws where he won the game. Guys, like, I bring that up as an example because the Pistons do such a good job when the pressure is on. Now, there is some things to look at going into this game, and I have Duncan Robinson at the top of my list here and bullets that I'd love to discuss because floor spacing was a huge issue in Game 5. It just was. Players look cluttered. And that's because we did not have a true shooter out there really at all. We tried to throw Kevin Huerter in there for a little bit. didn't really work to our advantage. But Duncan Robinson, the status of his back soreness injury is going to be everything to look at over this day off. And so I looked at his injury status. Nothing has changed yet. I feel like he's going to play. I think that they were resting him as a just in case, for the next game. Excuse me. But I think that plays a huge factor because if you have Duncan Robinson in game 5, I think things could have gone a lot differently. I'm not saying that we would have won, but I think the floor spacing would have been better, and you got to think we probably would have had 2 or 3 threes from him in that game, especially in a home court environment. So we need to keep an eye on the status of Duncan Robinson. But a big thing that I put here, and this is no surprise to all of you guys if you've been watching this series, is we need more production from our bigs. And I say bigs in plural because B-Ball Paul has been phenomenal, but he's not been getting the minutes that he probably should be getting because we are starting with Jalen Duren and bringing Beef Stew into the game. So that is going to come down to coaching because if you ask me, I think B-Ball Paul probably should be the first guy coming off the bench because I think we could have gotten a 20-point game out of him in the last outing if he would have just had more time to play. He had 10 points and 8 rebounds, and I just think every time he enters the game, he fills up that box score, and it looks great. So I think we need more production from our bigs, specifically Jalen Duren. If we can get a good Duren game, I think we're going to win with ease, but that's a huge if. That's asking a lot out of Duren in this playoffs. And then obviously we're going to need a huge game from Tobias, who struggled in the last game with 13 points. He needs to have a 20-point game. He can't start off 0 for 6 from the field. We need him to get to his spots early, see a couple middies go in so that he can start knocking down that outside shot like he's been doing. And my last and most obvious point to this is defense. We got to continue the defense, keep the defense up, and we will win Game 6. And for Game 7, how can we force a Game 7? Can we even force a Game 7? I think as fans, we need to take a step back here. We need to believe. We've got to believe in this team. I remember in the Orlando Magic series when I was at Harry's bar and we were down 20, I was one of the only people in the bar that believed that we could come back. I mean, everybody was out on this team. Us as fans in Detroit, I understand we have been hurt. Trust me, I've been a Lions fan my whole life, okay? I'm a Tigers fan, a Wings fan, all Detroit sports. I understand that we have been hurt, but we have to stick with our teams. We have to believe that we can do this. This team is a 60-win team for a reason, and I do believe in them. I believe that they operate so well when their back is up against the wall. We can win. And that's what it comes down to. But us as fans, we got to support them. I understand that we are on the road. Listen, if you're going to the game, all right, wear your All Dogs playoff shirt if you have one. If you're going on the road to Cleveland, like heckle fans, right? We have to show up and we have to support this team because I see too much in this city that we back out on our teams when things go wrong. I mean, this is what the playoffs are all about. How do we respond when our back's up against the wall? We've been here before in situations with Cleveland. Actually, in the LeBron era, we had a very similar series with Cleveland where we were up 2-0. Cleveland won 3 in a row, and then we won the last 2 games. That is a real thing that happened. And so let's hope that history repeats itself. Same thing happened in 2004 against the New Jersey Nets at the time, and we know that this is what Detroit is made of. It's a gritty town full of workers and dogs, and that's exactly what this team is, the all-dog Pistons, and they have been incredible. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. I'm really excited to hear from you and get your thoughts and your takes on the game, the refs, Jalen Duren. I'd love to have this open discussion with you guys, and let's just be appreciative of the season that this team had because you never know. Could be our last game. We hope it's not, but this has been a fun team to watch. And if we do lose, we'll gear up for the offseason. If we win, let's lock in for Game 7. Once again, don't let the Stones get hot. This is the Pistons Daily Podcast here 5 days a week, presented by Kalshi. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Peace.